trying to live frugally, but your home is still full of clutter, or you're decluttering, but you're still stressed about money, then this video is for you. Because I learned the hard way that we need both minimalism and frugal living to actually feel free.
I don't think so. No, 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 no. I don't think so.
Hi, welcome back to Chandra's Life. I'm Chanel, a practicing life transformation coach, sharing frugal and minimalist tips to help you move through overwhelming, busy life seasons with confidence. Because you don't have to lose yourself during any life season. Now, let me give you some back history. We almost went bankrupt during the global financial crisis. That experience taught me to be fiercely frugal. We budgeted every single cent, saved aggressively, and turned our finances around. But here's what I didn't see coming. About 10 years after our near bankruptcy, we'd lived in the same house for nearly a decade and it needed some TLC. So I asked my little sister if she and her husband would mind helping us repaint and do some small repairs. They agreed and we set a budget for the scope of the work and they came to do it. Just a small side note. In South Africa, you do not want strangers in your house, so it was the safest option to ask my sister for help. I was working full time and doing hair on the side, and Andrew was working away from home a lot, so we had massive time constraints during that time. The renovations were supposed to be a cosmetic upgrade to our house only, but it ended up changing my entire life. I think my sister got a fright when she walked through the door and she saw the amount of stuff that I've accumulated. I've always been good at keeping my house tidy, but it got to a point where there were little piles of paper and clutter on most surfaces of flat surfaces and in most corners of the house. Our garage was so full that you could barely walk in it. So back then, after we survived being broke, I made myself a promise to never be in that situation ever again. And what I didn't realize followed was that I was holding onto the trauma by holding onto my stuff. So naturally, I said yes to every free item, every hand me down, and every you might need this in the future someday item that I could lay my hands on. The result was a garage that I couldn't walk through and a house that was bursting at the seams. So even though we watched our money, we didn't watch our stuff. We budgeted for every DVD and every bit of makeup that I bought. But what I didn't realize was that we were still accumulating things that carried no real value. I wasn't using any of it. Very little carried significant monetary value, and I was basically hoarding because I was terrified of running short someday, ever again. When my sister left 3 weeks later after the work was done, it felt like I was on one of those home renovation series. My house looked completely different because we got rid of almost 60% of the junk that I'd accumulated. And it didn't only transform what my house looked like, but also what it felt like. That first weekend after they left was the first peek for me into minimalism. The transformation my house went through left me with nothing I urgently had to do. And that opened time for me to crochet and read a book in the morning sun on my couch. Can you think back to when last your house was this up to date with chores that you literally had nothing to do over a weekend? So obviously over the next few months, I got rid of even more stuff and I sorted all my paper clutter as well. That was a huge one to do. But once it was done, my house was so peaceful. I had no idea how noisy all my stuff was. When every single item in my house had its own home, the hardest part was keeping things in their places. Today, I'm so used to it that I quickly do a reset in the mornings or in the evenings and the house stays put together in 2 shakes and a cha-cha. But since then, I've been actively practicing minimalism as well as frugal living. If I want something, I make sure I actually need it. I check if I can make an alternative plan before I make the purchase, and most times I can actually do without it. And here's what I didn't expect. Once I cleared the clutter, frugal living became much easier. Because when you have less stuff, you spend less time managing it, you spend less time cleaning around it, and you spend less money maintaining, storing, and organizing it. You spend less mental energy wondering where things are or feeling guilty about what you're not using. And here's the biggest shift. When your home isn't full of just in case items, you stop saying yes to free stuff you don't need, and you stop browsing sales just to see what you might want someday. You stop accumulating with fear and you start living with peace. Minimalism didn't replace my frugal living habits, it strengthened them. Because now I'm not just watching my money, I'm watching what I allow into my life, my home, and my space. And that awareness is where real freedom lives. When you combine frugal living with minimalism, something powerful happens. Your budget gets easier to manage because you're not constantly acquiring. Your home stays peaceful because everything has a purpose, a place, and you actually like your items. But your mind gets quieter because you're not carrying the weight of all that someday stuff. The transformation didn't happen overnight. It took years of unlearning those shopping habits and acquiring mindset. But through that journey, I figured out exactly why this combination works so well. And I call it the OG method: overwhelm, gone. And here's how it works. Frugal living protects your wallet. It's the what you spend your money on. Minimalism protects your peace. That is the why you're bringing things into your life in the first place. And when you have both, overwhelm is gone. There's no financial stress weighing you down, and there's no clutter stealing your peace. No Sunday guilt taking up space in your mind. And that is my OG method. When your money and your space work together, your overwhelm that doesn't stand a chance. Do you want to know what my sister said to me when she came back to visit a few years later? She walked through the door, she looked around, she said, Chanel, this feels like a different you. And she was right. Frugal living saved our bank account. Minimalism saved me. And together, they gave me something I didn't even know I needed. And that was the ability to believe in myself and that I can do hard things. Now, that's what I want for you. Not just a balanced budget and not just a tidy house, but a deep, calm confidence that comes from knowing that both your money and your space works for you. So here's your challenge. Pick one drawer, one shelf, or one corner in your house this week. Ask yourself, is this stuff in that area adding value to your life? Or am I holding just onto Sunday items? So as you declutter, let go of just one thing and notice how it makes you feel. Comment below with what your starting point is, because every single step towards freedom deserves to be celebrated. And if you're thinking, but Chanel, I need help figuring out where to even start, then join me on Sunday where I'll walk you through the diagnostic to find your starting point. You are capable of transforming your life. You just have to believe it to achieve it. So guys, until Sunday, enjoy living life and the peace that comes with choosing less. Bye.
I don't think so. No, 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 no.